Let's see if now it works. Yeah, we have a lot of questions to answer. I'm so glad and so happy to see you all being in touch and sending your questions into the stories and you know, and as we wait for Dr. Mikel, I kind of important to say, and I want to tell you that he is. So let me send the invitation again to him. And I think this time we're gonna work. So fingers crossed that he's sending me as well the request. Yay, I think now it's gonna work. Fingers crossed that it will work.
Yay.
Finally. Thank you once again for being here, and it's
always a pleasure.
Always good to have you and your knowledge and all that it's in your brain to share with us in such a important subject that it's autoimmune disease, right?
Yeah, I will do my best.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna close the comments now. I have a lot of questions, so I think we're gonna be busy enough to whatever time you have there to go with us.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna turn off commenting, and there we go. So autoimmune disease, I think the first thing we have to say, it's first the emotional thing that goes with it. Yeah, I think I want to start saying that it looks like more and more people nowadays are suffering, and it's coming live that we know there is so many names: fibromyalgia, lupus, EBV, you name it. And for many years, people think we were crazy. You know, doctors, we go to doctors and they think you're crazy. We can't find anything on the labs. Everything is good with you. And you're telling the doctors, no, I'm not well. And then even they sometimes they want to send you to the psychiatrist thinking that you're crazy. I had that when I was 9 years old. You know, psychologists, the gastroenterologist telling my parents that I was seeking for attention. Glad Mom didn't listen to it, and you know, life carry on, and inside me we had something that we had to look for help. So want to start telling everyone that it's listen to us too. You're right, you're knowing your body, you're feeling everything you're feeling. There is a reason, there is the invisible inflammation, that it's how all this started, and we hear you, and we're here to talk about it and getting, you know, hope, because there is hope and there is ways to live with quality of life without being in pain and without being miserable, right? And I'm thankful to you, and again, the angel of my life, and that showed me that it's possible. So thank you once again. Welcome back. We have today people from Australia, New York, everywhere, Brazil, so it's good.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here and spread a little bit deeper knowledge about different things, because I think it's necessary. A lot of people today, as you said, walk around with a lot of things in the body and can feel something is wrong, but when you do visit your GP or the hospital, everything looks normal, but you still can feel something is not correct. And that could be autoimmune, it can be many other things, but because most of these autoimmune problems is very hard to diagnose correctly, because the biochemistry reason that you get it is very complicated. It's outside the standard protocols for hospitals to do. So one thing we need to understand is also when we take, for example, blood sample, is standard protocol blood samples. And this means you need to be inside certain numbers, and so long the variable is inside this frame, everything is fine. The same goes for urine test and every other test you can do. And we meet patients every single day that done this, and then we get examine them here, and we do it deeply, and you do it clinically and examine the body with your hands, and you find things that should not be there. First of all, it's a lot of pain, which is big sign of chronic invisible inflammations that can make you feel like tired, fatigued, mood swings, depressed. You get more and more self-isolated. Try to diagnose yourself. You maybe go to the internet and start to Google the feelings you have, and to find out you have millions of diagnoses that scare the shit out of you, because most diagnoses there is today actually have the same symptoms. So this is the problem with modern healthcare system today, is because of pressure, time pressure, whatever in hospitals, they cannot do deep investigation what's wrong with these patients, because it will take a lot of time And most of these real tests that is necessary to do to separate different kind of what is going on with the different cells. Do you have any latent virus going on? Do you have any kind of fungus or parasites or whatever? It's very costly, and that's what they try to avoid. That's why they develop these standard things that this also comes from WHO, and thank God we don't trust them so much anymore. But anyhow, this is the reason a lot of people, especially young women, because we still need to understand the biggest amount of patients around the planet is, when we talk autoimmune diseases or chronic issues, is female. And you were one of them for many, many years. And thank God I met you so we could change your life. And many others that ANF clinics do every single day, because we teach professional healthcare, and you're one of our instructors as well, to find the source of the problem, not the symptom, because that is a different thing. And we need to understand, when we talk about normal practitioners, meds, whatever, they follow standard protocols. So every single thing they do for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 is actually decided from the beginning. You're not, more or less, not thinking outside the process, which is really scary. Some do. Not everybody is doing the easy way, but this is why we have this, as you said, big gray zone of autoimmune diseases. And I will try to explain in an understandable way, in an easy way, what autoimmune disease is. You want me to continue or what?
Yes, let's touch, no, please, let's summarize a little bit what is autoimmune disease. We have lots of questions. I'm not so sure how much of that we're going to be able to answer. We're going to try to answer as much as we can, but, let's talk a little bit from the, from our point of view, the holistic point of view, what is the autoimmune disease? Mm-hmm. That it's becoming more and more common nowadays.
Yeah, you can, to explain it in a simple way, an autoimmune disease is, we have a lot of billion cells in our body, and in our body, every single cell have different, substances to be able to create fusions, to develop new cells, to actually teach and learn our immune system to function well, to develop different syntheses and functions. Of some reason, mostly can happen during pregnancy from your mother, it can do during the breastfeeding, whatever, is some of these substances, these different cells, is missing. So these cells will then start to become like foreign cells. And these foreign cells then try to actually create the fusion with the real cells and other cells, where it creates a conflict, and that actually affects different kind of functions in the body. So you get what you can say in this way, malfunction. And if you look into the most common autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, that is mostly affecting women. Here we have it in the calcium synthesis and the regulation of calcium and the quality of calcium. If you get it in the protein synthesis, then you will start to develop severe diseases like God knows what, any kind of very, very hard, like diabetes, you can organ malfunction, whatever, etc. So what happened is that when these cells then try to create these fusions over and over again, because every single cell we have in the body have a reproductional function to heal something, to make something work, to contribute to something, to then create fusion, to create amino acids, using antioxidants to prevent inflammation. When that's not possible, we start to develop chronic invisible inflammation that affecting the oscillation in the nerve system and then our immune system. And this is the reason we call it autoimmune disease. You can say it's another word for knowing what's going on, but not really knowing what to do about it. So we find out different names and diagnoses like fibromyalgia, CFS, God knows what, so we at least can give a diagnosis to the patients without actually fixing any of the real problems. So this is actually the basics of an autoimmune disease. To then go in and discuss specific ones like fibromyalgia, where you have a conflict with different cells and neurons that increasing and triggered by emotional trauma, then use different kind of cells to prevent the cortisol or other oxidative stress or whatever that attack the nerve system and create inflammation is not really there. So it creates inflammation in the nerve system and spreading that way, and 10, 15 years later you have fibromyalgia. So this is how it works. So it's really depends on what kind of thing that is missing during the development of the embryo to the baby, and so on and so on. And therefore, it's many that call it genetics. And this is why, because we need to always remember that the female body is made for reproduction. Everything that a baby will become or develop, whatever it is, come from the mother. And using some from the man's DNA to create different kind of fusions in the female body to develop embryo to a human being, which is extremely advanced process. If we go into detail, that can we do maybe another time, but this is how it works. To explain it in a simple way.
Mm-hmm.
Was it simple?
Yeah, ish. But yeah, we can get and figure out, like the inflammation process is there. We never know exactly when. I mean, of course, there is a lot of influence, as you said, from embryo. We have influence from trauma. I have recently saying a farewell, and I say it with very, very glad. And I think to you as well. I said one of my patients has moved back to her country, and I remember I treating her every day with autoimmune, and she had pain all over, bloating and everything. I get emotional saying that, but I always told her, I said, until you quit this job, which is your main factor of waking up at 2-3 a.m. answering calls with this adrenaline jump that you have, you'll never get better, you're never gonna heal. And well, finally 6 months and almost a year later, she the coin dropped. She quit the job. And she came to me to say goodbye, and she said, I've never been so healthy, and it doesn't matter how much of discs and how much herbs and whatever you take it, if it doesn't change, deep inside and finding the root cause. Right, we're going to get to there, but I just get exciting to know, because as much as we have genetics, as much as we have many, factors that we can't change the health of our mother and our father or whatever we carry with us, and even the ancestors. But we can change what we do now, and we can change how we perceive it. We accept. I think the first thing is acceptance, because a lot of autoimmune come with guilty. We always feel like we're depending on people. We always feel like bad because people have to be nursing us and to have to be supporting us. And we think sometimes we really believe that we're crazy, because you go to 20 doctors who said you have nothing and you're still feeling not well. So, there is lots of things that we can do for the autoimmune diseases. ANF, it's a life changer. And so we're going to discuss a little bit deeper into these kind of things. That a lot of questions that we get was how to get rid of lupus, fibromyalgia, and have a life.
First of all, that when we talk about lupus and different things, depending on how long time you had it, it's also where you have, you could say, a negative amount of bacteria in your gut that is spreading toxins, and the body's ability to deal with this. And when we talk about lupus, exactly as I said before, we have a lot of necessary cells and amino acids that is very important for our intestines to actually keep the balance of 50 million different bacteria that is necessary for our gut. But also these bacteria is, of course, very highly depending on our immune system, because our immune system, both its lymphatic system and our B cells, is teaching the ones that we even have in the gut is to take care of things that we doesn't need and to break it down so it becomes to waste. But here you have, when you have, as I said before, an autoimmune foreign cells that try to create fusion with the cells that it should be doing, create different mutations. That is when it starts to become inflammatory state. And when this inflammation, that is for lupus, for example, go to the intestines and getting active, what happens is we have one hormone that is really important for us, but also really bad for us, is the cortisol, stress hormone. Because the stress hormone is also protecting us in stage 1, but high amount of release of it is also damaging liver, gallbladder, kidney and everything, and destroy a lot of important immune response functions and the body's ability to also deliver and use different kind of stem cells to create cell diversion and healing process. So when we talk about lupus, we also have high amount of very toxic stomach acid and gall acid that is actually trying in this situation to help out to prevent the lupus to get out. So this is why you get redness in the face, because when you get this kind of stuff, it's also start to affect your lymphatic system and the nerve system. And it's probably an ongoing breakdown on your immune system and your body's function for minimum 10 to 20 years until you can see the result of it. And this is when most people go to the MD or whatever and get medications. What we should know in this situation is that we already have a negative function in our liver, maybe even develop a non-alcoholic fatty liver. A liver with 500 specific function have a huge responsibility to all soft tissue organs well-being, let's say like this, and also our blood quality and many other things, but also to produce our most important antioxidants that prevent mutation of cells, that is glutathione. And remember, folks, if you find any kind of supplement that say glutathione and you think you can eat that and that do the same thing, forget it ASAP, because here you have more than 2,000 different biochemical fusions to create one antioxidant. So that is not possible. But anyhow, by removing the inflammation that ANF can do, that probably is the only thing today. We just finished a clinical case study that proved that more than 80% of all our patients get rid of chronic inflammation, which is really cool. When you get that away, that means the lower the stress hormone, that preventing many normal functions for the body, and then the body can really start to heal again. It doesn't matter what you do, what you eat, how you live or whatever, if you don't get rid of the inflammation, changing your diet can for a time being make you feel better, but you have actually not removed anything. To think that pharmaceuticals will do it, forget it. The liver that is in this case responsible for detoxing for pharmaceuticals, toxins, negative things, whatever you want to talk about, is not working 100% properly. So it will stay in your bloodstream and go then into your lymphatic liquid stream and prevent your immune response. In this situation, this is in general for all autoimmune diseases, you start maybe to gain weight. You start to change your metabolism, your digestive system. You maybe even start to lose muscles. Most of all, you start maybe to doubt on yourself. You don't have really any lust anymore to be social and meet people. You don't want to go out. And you feel, as you said before, something is wrong, but I don't know what it is. I can see I'm changing. I don't feel good. I'm bleached. I may be redness or yellow in my eyes. And the only thing the doctors say when I go to him, it's nothing wrong with you, all test is perfect. And as you said before, that scared the shit out of me, it's all in your head. Mm-hmm. We need to remember one thing, that it's only one thing that decides how we feel. The worse you feel, the higher amount of stress hormone is released in your body. Adrenal glands control all our mood. And therefore, it doesn't matter if you live in the sun, if you live in darkness or whatever. This is why emotional stress is so dangerous, because it's release higher amount of cortisol hormone than a physical trauma or anything else. Emotions is, sorry?
Sorry to interrupt you, but I just think as it's drinking your own poison, you know. Yeah. That's how I feel that is stress, and sorry to interrupt you, but that's where it comes to me every time we're talking on you know, stress and cortisol levels. We keep feeding, because as high as the cortisol, you know, and more pain and aches you feel, it also affects your brain. So all this feeling down, it's also part of brain chemistry and biochemistry changing. You know, all the serotonin, dopamine, and everything gets affected with this inflammation and these fusions. So becomes most of
all, it actually react on your chemical cells, especially female when we talk about hormones. I mean, most females think they have only estrogen and progesterone, but you have almost more than 5,000 different hormones in the female body. So you can imagine that conflict when it starts. So this cortisol as one of our most important protector, but when it continue and release because your body is not good. And what I wanted to say is, I can give you all a really good task is when you have a day that where you feel really, really bad, emotionally or physically, whatever, just talk to yourself, how do I feel in solar plexus? Because there's your emotional nerve center. Do I feel any kind of weird feeling? If you start to relax that, and maybe lie down and just put your hand on your solar plexus and talk to yourself and breathe a little bit deeply, that will reduce the stress hormone significantly. But every time you get stressed, every time you feel worry in your stomach, and every time you get maybe a foggy head, this has to do exactly. This is the body talking to you. Hey man, you have a problem. We need to fix it. Take it easy, otherwise it's going to get worse. This is how it works. So everything, when you know and have the knowledge, is very, very logical. It's not so complicated as people think.
We have a question that you actually touched the subject about diet, and one of the questions is being vegetarian? What is that question? Let me just find. We've got a lot of questions. I can't find it around. It's being vegan, the way to solve autoimmune disease. And I actually answered back straight away, and I said, I was vegan for 25 years, and for 2 years you were in my ear. You have to eat a good meat. You have to eat a good meat. And it was tough for me. I remember the first time I ate, I'll send you a picture. I'm like, I don't want to eat that. But, today I eat without.
I come into this subject a lot, and I'm sorry to say to all vegetarian and vegans, you are actually killing yourself very much faster than anyone else. And we need to remember one thing, that if you all remember, I don't know how old you are, but at least when I was a kid, is that we had in school, when we learned about food, we had this food circle, and where they teach us.
The pyramid.
Yeah, you should have one piece of this circle every day, and fish once a week to create balance. And it's a purpose with this one is because everything we eat is a basic for the biochemistry in our body to create different cells and functions and healing process. Because for us, for normal people, it's just food, but it actually is a chemical for the body to be able to reproduce in cells. When it comes to vegans, what you're eating, and you can never ever discuss against this, I know definitely too much about the human body, is more or less 80% water. It doesn't matter what it says or what you think or whatever. These vegetables, everything that is good for us, that when we eat them, is taken up already here. It never goes to the stomach. So the body will use these positive things from the vegetables like poof, and it's gone very, very fast. Every single patient I meet many around the whole world that is vegetarian or vegan, their bodies is a total mess. Intestines, liver, kidney, stress, mentally, bleached skin, and God knows name it. And I say to them, you must eat meat, a really high quality steak once a week, minimum. You can pretend it's a cucumber or a broccoli. You can write on it camouflaged broccoli. Eat it, swallow it, do whatever you need to do, but it's very important. Why? Because in meat from a real ox meat, not pig, not chicken or whatever, you can also use lamb, of course, it has different important biochemical substances that many of our most important cells need. Among them is the liver and liver hormones and their function for the liver. Another one is, in the meat, you have the very important biochemical parts that the body needs to use to produce the ion serotonin. Serotonin is mainly 90%, 95% produced in our stomach, and a big supporter for also our neurological function also to stimulate the production of dopamine. And dopamine, as most people only know as the happy hormone, happy molecule, whatever, that is also helping our emotional nerve system and our way with our eyes to communicate with emotion and many other things. Serotonin is the only thing that prevents depression, anxiety, and stuff like this. Most vegetarians and vegans have this as a chronic problem. So for me, I can totally understand people's politics to take care of the animals and stuff. For me personally, it would be much better to take care of our fellow human beings and our children around the world that don't have food every day, that don't live on the streets, that cannot afford health care. For me, that is more important than to think of a cow or whatever animal, if you understand my point of view. So please, veggies or whatever, once a week, high quality meat, 250 grams, medium rare, paint it green or whatever, just eat it and you will start to feel a lot better. And you said it yourself, Renata, you're a living proof yourself.
I felt a lot of difference. Even I couldn't gain muscles before, working out loads, and I would never put on, doing triathlon, which was, 200 kilometers per week, and still did not have enough muscles. My muscle mass was always low, so it has changed a lot. And even for people who are concerned about the cow and the environment, and because I do, and I love animals, for me it was one of the hardest things to get back to meat. You still can find good farms where they treat nicely and the grass feed and so on. So just search for that. There is ways we can accommodate it. Great. And so another question is, does EBV and Lyme disease stay with you forever?
This is like a little bit tricky. It's what I see from case to case. It depends on how it have affected your body. But this kind of virus is a little bit like herpes virus. It can stay latent forever in your body and actually start to get active because of emotional mental stress. For you guys that have oral herpes that is not coming from sexual activity, that actually is active from stress, you know that every time you get high stress or it get from cold to hot or whatever, or maybe when you get your periods,
tired, not sleeping well, anything.
Yeah, it breaks out. The same is with this. It's all about, the only thing that can actually destroy this kind of virus is really high frequencies that we are using when we're helping this kind of patient to normalize of the Lyme disease. And most important to treat here is, of course, liver, because there it can hide and in your intestines. But there it can hide, it's nice and warm, it can just wait. And then when the body of some reason release high amount of acid and stressing the body, maybe you get a cold, maybe you get a flu, and the weakness, and your body get weak, and boom. And this is also why for women, PMS, pre-menstruation and after menstruation, there is the female body really weak, and that is where a lot of these things can start to get exposed. And because of if we talk about female again, because that's the most complicated human being, if you look in the bio world, you have only more or less 1 week when nothing is happening in the body, that it's actually quite nada. All other 3 weeks in a month, a lot of stuff is going on, so the female body is constantly under stress, and that makes it more vulnerable. So if you have EBV or if you have Lyme, go to an ANF clinic and get a protocol for your liver and intestines, and to keep it down, especially before period or after period, or if you have a cold, go and get like a standard protocol for immune response to support your immune system and keep these invisible inflammations down, and they will not have a chance to break out. So this is common with all, if you also talk autoimmune diseases, is that the biggest problem you have, if you have it, is when you're exposed for emotional stress or mental stress or physical stress in work, whatever, or something happens to your kids. That's when, as soon as your body go down a little bit and get weaker, that's what it says kaboom. If you can keep that strong all the time, you will not even notice you have it. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of kind of similar questions. I just would like to touch base on, the point, because when we treat with ANF, we know that there is detox symptoms. And normally autoimmune patients tend to detox a little bit harder. Some of them don't detox as much on the beginning, and as I had the experience, if you remember my first huge detox.
How can I forget?
Yeah. So I was complaining that my detox was never, I'm like, I don't think I'm detoxing. I don't have what everything does. And then you suddenly, okay, let's detox. And I was ill, like 10 days I was ill, and studying it deeper and deeper and getting to a holistic level. Can understand as well, when we're killing virus, we're also releasing toxins, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to make sure we keep our lymph open, all the lymph to and make all the organs, the kidneys and everything, the liver, to be able to cope with the toxicity that the dead virus will release into the system. So it's not really a pleasant journey for the patients a lot of the time, and that's why you always tell us we have to be working and walking very close to the patients and making sure the patients are well. And one of the things that I really would like to say it loud is hang in there. It's not because you're going to have a detox that it's not working or we're making it worse. We're going to have to make it sometimes worse to make it better. And it does get better. But I would like you go a little bit deeper into this detox and explaining why.
With great pleasure. Okay.
Please.
I say to all patient that comes here, and we have, believe it or not, here in the Academy Clinic, we are helping people with the most complicated and really hard problems that you even can imagine. And when you still imagine how bad it could be, it's even worse than that. So what I say to all of them is that, you know what? Before you come to heaven, you need to pass hell first. And this is what detox is. Because when you have autoimmune disease that's been for many, many years, what will happen to this, if you remember I talked about these foreign cells, have developed a lot of toxins and negative waste. It probably also over-poisoned your body with a lot of negative acids from the gut and gallbladder, so you're very bloated, you're full of liquid in your tissue, you feel really, really bad. So you can say like this, you feel toxic, you look toxic, everything is toxic. So when you have this, then can the body not heal? It can't, because everything the body produces that is really good for us is actually by the nervous system controlled where it should be released and reused. And here it goes, most of it, to the life supporting organs, to our heart, to our liver, to our brain. So we can exist and be very, very sick or feel very bad or have pain everywhere, you name it. So when you start to use ANF and you reduce this high inflammatory state of your body, to be able to remove inflammation, the body needs to remove all these toxins. And this is why you get detox. So it's actually a really good thing. And this is also why we teach all students that come here, you need to take care of the patient, you need to fill them with a lot of water, 1 or 2 liters, I don't care. You don't send anyone home until you see the detox effect. Because the more disc you use, the harder can it be. But we also have the opposite, people that want to run up from a mountain full of energy, never felt better. So it's both sides, but the negative experience is probably bigger. So what happens is when the body is removing toxins from different parts of the body, the first thing that happens is that you can start to feel nausea. Even so bad, so you need to vomit or you get diarrhea. But all these negative things, it need to get out. You can even get skin rash or
migraines.
Migraines. Yeah. Headache is very common. So that is mostly the second thing that happens is you start to get headache because you have also a lot of toxins here. So the third one is you start to freeze. Like even if you sit here in Spain in 45 degrees in the sun, you're freezing the pig. You need the blankets or whatever. You just can't stop it. And then it comes shaking. This can last for everything from 10 minutes to whole day, hours. In the worst thing I had, was a patient that was vomiting for 7 days, but her body was also really, really bad. And you were also really bad. But then after that is everything changed. Everything changed. So it's a necessary thing to go through this. And a lot of patients doesn't experience anything. A little bit worst scenario is you get all of it, for sure.
Yeah, and just it's important that, and that's why we we walk with the patients. We tell them that this can happen, and that's actually a good thing when the patients tell that we are detoxing. We're kind of happy in a way that this is happening, and we tell patients to don't give up. That it's not as much as we explain. Our human brain tends to think, this is bad. Why are you doing this to yourself? It's not enough what you've been through. So that's where all questions I used to say, why are you doing this? Something inside me was saying, you're going to get better, just keep going. But my brain was just like, get off this. Like, why getting worse than you already is? So it is an internal fight, but it does get better. And we need to persevere and go through.
No, as you said before, it's like just hang in there. The more water you drink, the less detox you get, because this is also what the body is doing when you're increasing the water, is try to fill up all the cells with liquid and create other liquids that is inside our mitochondria to create fusion and function and healing processes. So if you're dehydrated, this cannot happen either. So it's very important. The more water you drink, the less detox you get. At least it passes by faster. So this is very, very important. Or in general, it's very important to drink a lot of water.
Good. And just one more question that it's a little bit different from the others. Who's talking about anemia. Is the anemia can in some way related to autoimmune distinction? So the person who's constantly fighting with ferritin, iron, that it's never in balance, would you see that as the beginning of autoimmune or not necessarily?
It could very, very well be. Anemia can be of many different reasons that it happens, but it can be early stage of development of something that's getting worse and worse and worse. So if you have any kind of risk or afraid that something is ongoing process, I would definitely go to one of the ANF clinics and check it out, get my body checked out, my lymphatic system, my liver and everything, and do whatever is necessary to stop that development. Because I think also it's very important to tell people that trust your own feelings, trust your own gut. If that doesn't feel good and you don't feel good here, you feel low all the time, you have problems to motivate yourself, you have problems to go training, to be social, you get angry very easy or whatever, I think it's a very good indicator to go for a checkup as fast as you can, because you can't self-treat yourself. You can't buy your way to health. If all supplements, whatever we are buying and eating would work, nobody on this planet would get sick, and we would definitely not have corona or whatever. But obviously it doesn't work, because the amount of autoimmune diseases and people's health in general is getting worse and worse and worse. Because we stress more than ever, we want to have more money, we're working more, we are doing everything more in a negative way. That was a good thing why the pandemic is that people needed to calm down, stay home, be with your family, and increase the quality family-wise. For a lot of people that was negative, of course, but anyhow, nothing good comes without any bad. But I think it's very important, if you have this kind of feeling that you start to develop an anemia of something, try to get checked as fast as you can.
Cool. And tons of questions about the jab. If you have an autoimmune disease, should you get it or should you not? So from experience...
questions of what?
So a lot of questions asking, if you do have autoimmune disease, should you get the jab, to do the prevention of this virus, that it's the prevention of the virus that's going around.
No way.
So Yeah,
Don't
I think
take
we
it.
both.
You will regret it for sure.
So from experience, yeah, we see. I mean, we are science based, and we more than anything, it's what we see with our patients. That's my reality. This speaks louder than science and studies for me. What I see happening with my patients tells me a lot, and understanding that we take our decision based on that. So to all the patients that I had taken with autoimmune had big flares up. So again, it's up to each one, right? I'm sure you have the same.
Yeah. And when it comes to the vaccine, I have only one advice to give. And also, as you said, I see the result on patient that got it 4 or 5 months ago. Don't take it, because this is non-tested and non-medical 100% solid proof vaccine to take. I read in the news yesterday, only in Scandinavia more than 100,000 people have died because of the vaccine, because it is not tested, and we cannot close our eyes for this. I get scared when I see people doing victory signs that I get vaccinated. For me, that is just to say that you have no clue what you're talking about, man. Because it will take from 6 months to 2-3 years until you start to see the real negative effect of it. Because we need to understand our natural mRNA or protein spike that is part of our B cells have in history learned everything, every disease you went through to your life, how old you are today, have built up a memory. So if you get similar virus or whatever you get, you are immune. With this vaccine, you get clean sheet and you start from zero. This is the scary part, what they don't tell you. But luckily, many colleagues now around the world start to open their mouth and tell the truth. And
I would just say be open to hear both sides and take your own conclusions, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We cannot be and this is everything with life, even with autoimmune diseases, and the way you're gonna take for the healing process, the healing journey you're gonna have. Always listen to your body. What do you feel? Be open to, because I see a lot of people just like that, and but you are against it, and I'm like that. I'm into science, but my science is what I see with my patients, and that tells me a lot.
You can also say like this: we are not against it. We are against it because it's not 100% tested as it should be done. It takes minimum 5 to 10 years to develop a solid vaccine, and they have tried to develop mRNA spike protein vaccine for 40 years without success. So I say to all my patients, I can only give information what I know and my experience. Then whatever decision you take, it's up to you. And because I think it's very important here that people keep their own will and do what they feel like. If they feel they want to take the vaccine, it's good for them. For Christ's sake, take it. I just give information what I know, and from that I hope they can take a better decision. If it's pro or against, up to them. But exactly. I just say that in 10 years, maybe we can have an mRNA vaccine that's really good, if we're lucky. Otherwise, they will remove this and stop this, whatever, as fast as they can. But who knows?
Yeah, and we can help. We have protocols. I have a lot of patients who had to take because of work. And yes, we can help. It doesn't matter if it's 5 days ago, 3 months ago, we can still help. So we can look for ANF therapists all around the world. If you feel like you need to cleansing and help whatever it was done. I just opened the comments here, but I think we actually answer almost all of the questions, and that it's autoimmune disease and inflammation and all this that we can be here talking forever.
Yeah. No, I would like to say a comment to your thing that, we have a special protocol for post-vaccination if anyone is worried. That will help a lot. So you can find ANF on findanf.com, I think it is, right? Where it's local to you. If you live in Dubai, you can just call the lady on the screen.
I have one more patient. I've been begging here to talk about Hashimoto. See, we're not going to ever end. Just the last one about Hashimoto. And Hashimoto, again, is the part of the endocrine and the connections, right? But just a quick view on the thyroid aspect from your side.
When we talk about Hashimoto and hyper or hypo, we talk about hormone regulation, mostly caused of liver problems, because the thyroid is highly dependent on high amount of glutathione to kill any kind of free radicals that attack the thyroid, because it's also part of metabolism, digestive system, but most of all, the production of chemical cells. It actually directly communicates with our optic nerve and everything we get through our mouth to tell the rest of the body what is coming down, what the body can use. And from this, it's also collaborating with hypothalamus, pituitary gland, the whole endocrine system, to tell actually what we can do, what kind of chemical cells, hormones, do we need now in the body for optimize the function. If you have a liver problem or a problem with the body to produce high amount of glutathione, then you can start to develop Hashimoto's with time. And that's when your doctor will say, your thyroid is dead, so now you need to take these steroids, and you need to do like this and this. What happen when you do that is you tell all the other endocrine system, hey guys, you don't need to work anymore, we fix it like this. So you're just postponing some kind of problems. So this can happen of several different reasons. One can be that you maybe had a severe concussion as a kid. You maybe played football, hit your head, anything that actually created damage to your pituitary gland or hypothalamus, or anything that destroyed the communication between all of this endocrine system. It can also be because of high amount of intake of fatty food or any other biochemical important function in your body that affect the liver's ability to create glutathione. It can also be because you have for many, many years, maybe it started when you were young, maybe even in college or earlier, that you started to develop insomnia problems. And that means that now you have a pineal gland that is producing the antioxidant melatonin that is regulating and collaborating in all our system. And that is responsible to communicate with the liver to be able to create glutathione. So if one of these is affected one way or another, you can start to develop negative thyroid function. But the root cause is in a totally different way than what you think. So and here we can help out also, that we do more or less every day, because hyperthyroid Hashimoto is very popular diagnosis.
And I can see as well, and there is some studies that talks about especially for teenagers that starting to use pills very early to control a cycle that it's not regulated. I'm one of those. I used to have migraines and all the issues, and then 16 years old, suddenly you're taking hormones and you're shutting down a system that is still developing to then, as you said, to postpone a problem that will come later to you. So, you know, and my advice is always saying, why you're taking the pill to control what? So my period doesn't come, or come too much, or so let's find the root cause. You know, pill is not the solution, and it really messed up with the thyroid. If you're not already messed up with the thyroid, it will do in a long term. So
I'm very happy you said that, because I actually forgot to say it, because this is, if we take like this, if we have, of all patients worldwide, we have among 1,000 therapists that have hypothyroid or Hashimoto's. Most of them are women, right? And when you take birth control pills or anything for having sexual good life, or don't be worried to get pregnant, you are actually destroying your body's normal hormone regulation, because we're talking, you're eating male hormone to down-regulate estrogen and progesterone and many other important female things. So girls, I have one thing to say. This is also the reason many women start to get fertility problems, cysts, endometriosis, and God knows every sexual organ problem you have. Stop with these pills. Tell your boyfriend, whatever, use the condom, or then you just say no, because it's not worth it in the long run, for sure.
But you know what breaks my heart even more? It's not only that, I mean, pregnancy, whatever, if you've been happy and this is, this is the reason you're using for, but it breaks my heart to see kids 13, 14, 15 years old being putting in pills from doctors to regulate the period. This is, to me, it's a huge, please, let's stop there, let's find out why. I had a patient at 23 years old with chronic fibromyalgia. There was a pill to regulate it, and they gave her glucophage, okay, to just help with the PCOS that they thought was one of the causes of the fibromyalgia. Glucophage, that it's for those who doesn't know, it's a medication that's used to regulate sugar for people who has high sugar levels in the system, being given to a 23 years old girl for PCOS and fibromyalgia. So I'm just letting it out here too.
But I mean, the whole system, I mean, many MDs, or especially GPs, that's today only sitting in the suit in the office and prescribing medications, they are not real people that want to help. This is fast business. I mean, I don't know, we could tell millions of scary stories, but I mean, people that seeking help of these kind of reasons, and I mean, we see fibromyalgia patients, chronic pain patients that get psychopharmaca, epileptic medication. For me, that is desperation from the medics. That, we don't know what to do, maybe we want to help, but let's try some psychopharmaca for your pain. Let's knock out your brain, because then you cannot feel pain. Which is, for me, now we are actually starting to really hurt people. Wake up and be smart. And I mean, if you get ordinated any kind of medication that have nothing to do with what problem you have, don't take it, for Christ's sake. I mean, if the doctor cannot answer your questions, change your doctor. I mean, call one of our therapists around the world if you have questions. They can answer and give you details about many things. But for God's sake, be careful what you put in your mouth, because that is not the solution. And remember, it's symptom treatment, not the root cause. So this is also very important to understand.
I think this is going to be our take-home message, find the root cause, don't give up. There is solutions, there is tons of testimonies, there is ways. It might not be an easy journey. It's tiring to be searching for help when you're already sick, but there is ways to get this help and to live a life with quality. So thank you so much once again for the live.
And remember, all of you that are looking, we are here for you guys. So if you have any questions, just call us, and I'm sure that if we cannot answer, nobody can. So we are ready to help anytime you want. So that's why Renata doing this also. So just hang in there. We can absolutely support you and help you and tell you and guide you whatever it's need. And I think that is very important. And thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you all for watching and for all the questions answered, and thank you.
And thank you for doing this. Give my love to the family.
I will.
Bye-bye.
To you too. Bye now. Bye.